everybody. Thanks so much for coming today. So today I want to talk to you about the product roadmap and the kind of future direction of Unity, where we're going ahead for the next year or so, taking it into the 2019 series, and what's also happening for the rest of the year with 2018.3. So yeah, I'm Josh, if you caught the keynote today. So I'm the evangelism lead for EMEA, so Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So it's awesome to be invited to Singapore to present at Unite Singapore. And I was also just at Developer Day Bangkok as well. So again, it's awesome to come out here and meet a lot of developers like yourselves and hear about the kind of issues or what things you're excited for, what Unity have got into the pipeline. So yeah, you can reach me afterwards. I'll be around whole day, or you can reach me on Twitter. But yeah, let's get started. I've got a lot to cover in 45 minutes. So hopefully I don't go too quickly. So the agenda for today is, first of all, looking at how developers, you guys here, use Unity. And not just the editor itself, but everything that surrounds it. So yes, the editor UX and design and working with Unity, but things like connected games, platforms, developer services, everything that makes you as a developer successful, not just the tools that you create, the tools that you work with. And then we'll look at the roadmap and the features that are coming ahead by role. So programmers, animators, which is a huge area for us, helping animators use Unity. And for the last year or two, a big focus has been on helping artists and designers with tools like shader graph, with the visual effect graph that I showed earlier on. So yeah, so first of all, like working with Unity. How do people work with Unity? And every area that our product team looks after, we always ask ourselves, what is the mission here? What are we actually trying to solve? What are we trying to solve for you, our developers? And the mission for working with Unity as a whole is a solid foundation from prototype to production. And for a long time, people have been using Unity for mobile, for 2D, a lot of indies, but we've also had a lot of feedback to understand how AAAs and big studios use Unity. A lot of them have used it for prototyping, but never followed it through to production. So we're trying to solve that issue for a lot of people. So the very first thing is how we actually release Unity. So previously we've gone from 2 releases a year to 4 releases a year, and we've settled now on 3 tech releases a year. And the tech stream is new features, previews, packages, all new good stuff. Whereas then we have our LTS version, long-term support, and this is for people who want to lock in their productions. So I've met people in my 4.5 years at Unity who are still stuck on 5.2 or 5.6, or they've stayed on 2017.1. And the reason is because they've worked on tools for that project, they're stuck on that platform for upgrade reasons, many different reasons why people stick on a specific version. If the project's going to take them 3 or 4 years, they don't want to be upgrading all the time. So we've listened to that, we understand that, and releasing an LTS version, long-term support, means that we will take that version and support it for 2 years. So at the end of 2017, we had 2017.4 LTS. We're going to support that for 2 years. And eventually 2018.3 will be turned into LTS, support that for 2 years. So yeah, we'll always be continuously updating for bug fixes, critical hardware, backports, but no new features. So yeah, so going into 2019, 2019.1.2.3, and then 19.4 will be LTS. Alongside that, we've been developing packages via Package Manager. Now this is, for me, it's amazing because we get to see what our internal developers can do in a quick turnaround time. Previously at Unity, if you wanted to get something into the engine, 6 to 9 months away, where our trunk is, right? Where now, the different teams can upgrade their packages weekly or monthly or bi-weekly, getting feedback from the community and upgrading them at the preview packages until they're able to be verified, released, and put down on a stable version. So you've probably seen that with post-processing, with Cinemachine so far. They started off as preview packages, constant updates, and then as soon as that package is verified against a certain version, so for post-processing 2018.1, that's when it became verified, and that's when we can say it's officially released, it's no longer in preview, it's no longer in beta, it's out there. And that's going to be the same with SRP core, so script to render pipeline core will be fully released and verified as a package in 2019.1. And we're going to do that for lightweight, for high definition render pipeline, TextMesh Pro, every other package that's currently in Package Manager. Yep, so speaking about Package Manager, it's going to go through a new UI and UX refresh. So if you've already started using 2018.3, you'll see that it looks a bit different, and all of the preview packages are hidden by the Advanced tab. So now you can just see what you have installed, what's available right now that's verified, and then you can choose to show all of the preview packages. So you can search by name, version, status, and you can also add in custom packages or local packages to your team. And then we're going to have a package project updater, which is going to be in the Unity Hub itself. So it can be per project as well. So you're not just upgrading one package across all of your projects, because you might have different projects on different versions. It'll just improve general workflow. It'll make it easier to stay on a certain version. So as you can see here, we can see this side that I've got all of my preview packages here, and I've got my top verified latest package. And again, it's also easy for you as bigger studios to host packages on GitHub and pull them straight into Package Manager. We're also going to be changing completely how the asset store works. So the asset store will rely more on packages rather than creating the old style of packages that we used to create on our desktop. Now you could put them through Package Manager as well. It just means that it's easier for asset store publishers. And we're also taking a lot more of the asset store validation stuff into the editor itself. So you no longer have to just update the package onto our system and it gets checked. Now it can all be done via the editor as well, in 2019.2. Like I say, we're improving the project browser so you can see local, studio-based packages and asset store packages as well, all within the context of the editor. The in-editor launcher, so this has been around for some time. We're going to be deprecating that and sunsetting it because we've been working on Unity Hub for the last year or so. So that's been available in a beta, now officially released. So yeah, I love this GIF. We're actually burning it to the ground, so stop using it. And the Unity Hub 2.0 in 2019.1 is, again, we've had this in like a beta for a while, getting a lot of feedback, how people actually want to use it and what kind of stuff they find useful in the Hub. So the Hub is a standalone application, not tied to the editor at all, where you can manage all of your installs. So in my Hub, I have like 16 different versions of Unity. Previously, there was all along the bottom of my Mac toolbar. Now they're all in one place in the Unity Hub. I can install betas, previews, all verified releases, and I can see which of the different modules I have installed for the different platforms, which you can see here. Say the 2018.2, I can see I've got Windows, Android, and iOS, whereas the 2018.3 one, I have Android, HTML5, Switch, iOS, Windows. So again, I know which modules I have installed, and you can install them separately rather than install all of Unity again. You can also host all of your projects there. So I can see here, I have my projects. I can say what version is currently working in. I can see what platform is my main platform of choice. And then I can also star them and change all of my dashboard stuff from there as well. With a lot more than new Unity Hub stuff, you may have noticed that when you use Unity Hub, when you start a new project, you have these templates. And templates are a great thing to use if you want to get started, if you're quickly prototyping. A lot of pre-work has gone into these to understand what kind of settings you want to start off with your projects. So we've got stuff like high-end, which gives you the high-definition render pipeline. So you don't have to import all of that via Package Manager. That means you can launch HD render pipeline, post-processing, Cinemachine, all in one package as a template straight away. And we've done stuff like that for lightweight VR. And now you're going to be able to create your own custom templates and have them as a project in the Unity Hub. It just means that you can search and sort and favorite and remove all of these different projects. And you can manage all of your advanced project settings in the hub as well, such as source control, some of your services, even your cache server stuff, all within that one standalone application. So the next is the editor UX. And again, our mission for this is what we're actually trying to solve. Increasing usability within the editor by improving core workflows. And what do we mean by that? So I'm sure many of you agree, like myself, when we go to our project windows and we try and find, say, our settings, and you have to click on different ones, and it pops up where the inspector is, and then you click off onto a game object, and that disappears, and then the hierarchy changes, and you're, oh, damn, I have to go back to it again, and you always forget to lock it. We've now got this unified settings window, which you could dock, or just have standalone, and this is for all of the user preferences. Is that GIF not playing properly? So you go to settings, and yeah, you can click through your editor, graphics, VFX, quality, everything in one place. And we've done the same for preferences as well. Again, you can see here, it's a dockable window, and this might not seem like a big deal for everybody, but for me, this is a huge change because it's so annoying, some of the smaller things that we've just been trying to fix to help with workflows. We're developing a shortcut manager user interface, so you can see all the different shortcuts that are native into Unity, but then also create your own as well. We're improving the console window, so clickable stack traces, searchable logs, just a lot of improvements in general that are very small, but again, when you're having to deal with them every day for 10 hours and trying to fix these stuff, it's a big improvement. We've been quite quiet about this for a while, but this is just going to be a continuous update via 2019, a complete new rewrite of the asset import pipeline. So less of this and more of actually making. So editor design. So Unity has been around for, what, 10, 12 years now, and it's not changed since then. The UX, the editor hasn't changed. So we want to modernize the Unity editor and make it more flexible and easier to read, more accessible. So we're creating, well, we're doing a full re-editor design. So in 2019.2, maybe earlier in a preview, we're going for a more minimalistic approach. So a new font, new icons for everything, more responsive UI for like hover states. Again, a lot easier for people who are doing a lot of editor work. And again, HDPI support as well. Accessibility-wise, it means that we can have adjustable text size. We get this request a lot, and improve like general keyboard access. So technically, you would not need to use a mouse in any way to use Unity. Some people might not. For production, so we're adding more and more stuff to Unity all the time. And the reason why the package manager came along in the first place was to help make Unity a bit more lightweight. So instead of adding in everything in one go, if I'm making a mobile game, I don't need HDRP. I don't need maybe PhysX because I'm doing 2D physics. Maybe I don't need all of this extra lighting stuff. I don't need Cinemachine. I don't need all these other things. So that's why when we create the package manager, it meant that we could remove a lot of these packages and make the build size smaller. But we want it to go even smaller than that. What we've seen is the rise of messenger games, HTML5 games, making it so that we have tiny, tiny build sizes on these like hyper-casual games. And that's where Project Tiny came from. So creating a highly optimal, tiny download runtime and workflow. So this is going to be available via Package Manager very soon. I'm sure you saw this at some of our other keynotes for, say, GDC, or Unite LA, or Unite Europe. And this project here is like 1.3 meg, running in a mobile browser as a kind of like a messenger game. So when we say we want something tiny, the budgets for these build sizes are anything from 100 kilobytes to 5 meg. And this video of this game is like 34 meg compared to the build size of 1.3 meg. So this is all going to be under the new ECS runtime, which is highly modular, so you can take bits out. Again, this is going to be kind of a separate editor, very similar to what Unity is already, but with a lot of the 3D stuff taken out. It's going to support HTML5 delivery, and in the future, we're looking at how we can actually do this with 3D, and especially for AR as well, so if you want more web AR in the future. So platforms, why is Unity been so amazing for such a long time is because we've been able to build anywhere with not much effort compared to other platforms, right? So again, continuing our improvements on our key platforms and continuing supporting all of the new platforms that are coming out. So with our size improvements for IO2 CPP, our backend runtime, a brand new input system is going to be in preview in 2019.1, which will help with a lot of this cross-platform development. And general just build sizes, the import pipeline, and also incremental garbage collection as well on many of these platforms. So yeah, just continuing to invest in optimizing for a lot of these core platforms and what our main development community want. Stuff like ARM64 adoption, app bundles backported to 2017.4 LTS. So again, just proving that we are backporting stuff to LTS, stuff that's really important for our development community where they're locked down on certain versions. Just generally improving like dynamic resolution for mobile or making sure that all of the Android runtime works on all the new platforms. Obviously with new phones, such as the notch coming into play, making sure that we support stuff like that for resolution, making sure that we can get our projects onto the phones quicker, stuff like improving the build window, so you can deploy to various different versions at the same time, Vulkan optimization, just to name a few improvements there. Consoles, huge for us. If we look at the amount of Unity games that are on Switch right now, it's great. Some of the stuff that's been coming out for Xbox One and PS4 over their lifetimes, and we're probably like smack bang in the middle of this current like generation of consoles. So improving stuff like dynamic resolution or texture streaming into those devices is really key for the back end of this year, and then improving our graphics, especially if we're looking at HDRP and the rendering pipelines into next year as well. XR has been a huge shift for us in the past few years, especially AR with all of the new headsets and capabilities of mobile devices. So yeah, improving first of all performance on these devices, especially for like things like HoloLens and Magic Leap AR headsets, self-contained VR and AR headsets compared to super high-end. The new input system is going to work a lot with this, and then also improving our cross-platform capabilities with mobile AR. So we've got AR Kit and AR Core from Apple and Google respectively. We're building AR Foundation, which is a cross-platform mobile AR solution. So yeah, we're improving that with lightweight render pipeline support, editor remote for AR Foundation, and making sure that everything that we do with AR Foundation contains the feature parity with the other SDKs. So I think John Sietzmer has got a session on that later on as well. More templates for AR, so working with our partnerships with all of these hardware vendors. That's truly where Unity is great for me, is that we have these partnerships and we can bring to you developers those platforms quicker than anyone else really. And yeah, part of this new input system in 2019.1, which will mean that our XR team can integrate all of the new input system into new XR devices. So connected games. Again, the mission here is scalable, real-time, multiplayer solution. And as you saw in the keynote, we've got FPS sample. So our team has been working with all of our network engineers and also with Google, who we've got a partnership with on the networking cloud side. So again, this is demoing what is achievable with this system. So early access has already started with Google's connected games, and this is a matchmaking solution right now. But with acquisitions such as Multiplay that we had earlier on in the year, which is a hybrid cloud and metal-based solution where AAA games such as Titanfall are using it, this is going to create a full end-to-end solution that you'll hear more of next year. And then services, like once you've made these games or these tools, how are you going to understand how your players play the game, or how are you going to make money, or how can you use these services to help your production early on? And again, helping you ship games faster. So first of all, a lot of integration that you use daily. So yeah, Unity, we're in Slack. We've got Trello boards, or Jira, or Discords for our development teams. How are you going to integrate all of those into your pipeline in Unity? And now the Unity dashboard takes all of that. So say if you've got a new cloud build that comes out, you can hook that up to Jira, or you can hook that up to email or Slack, all through the Unity dashboard. Unity Teams basically encompasses a lot of our services, how you create games quicker with our services, and Collaborate is a type of source control in the editor. So you can see here in-scene commenting. So I want to comment either in the scene or specifically about a game object. So you can see here somebody is commenting about this watering tower. Let's go ahead and move this, and then you can resolve them. So it's kind of like Google Docs in editor, right? So yeah, someone saying this helicopter pad would never be here, let's move it. And then the artist or designer would then choose where to put it elsewhere. And then in 2019, we're also going to have branching for this solution as well, which again has been a big source of feedback, a lot of issues for people who have been using it so far. Cloud Build has been taking over into the Unity Teams organization, and now they've migrated the entire Cloud Build over to the Google Cloud platform. So there's a lot of performance optimization upgrades for that as well. So now you're going to get your builds a whole lot quicker on that platform. Also, stuff like Windows Build Machine, build history, a lot more reporting, and improved configuration for multiple build configurations if you're importing custom DLLs into certain platforms. Performance reporting is a way to get all of your game's errors into one online dashboard. So we're just improving the general reporting, the UX of this, and also getting more information that's useful for you developers. So more metadata, better integration support, like we talked about with Slack or Discord or Jira. So you can see, say, I'm getting 50 console errors on this specific Android version in this certain country. That can all get pulled into one report and sent off to Slack or to a certain support channel, for example. User reports, formerly known as bug reporting. Just more stuff in development, so we have better logs, better screenshots for people when they take screenshots of your game, what's happening, and this is going to be in beta very soon. So that's been in alpha, kind of like a very early alpha for some time. So there's just a few updates on production and how you can actually use all of these surrounding features around Unity to improve your general workflow. But the more meat of it is actually features. What features are going to be released over the next year or so? And we're going to cut into more of the roles that you have in the studios. So first of all is programmers. So again, the mission is bring you the utmost flexibility and performance. And performance is something that we've been banging on about for the last year or so because it's very important, right? And this new data-orientated stack that we have featured so much is going to be officially released within next year. So the ECS entity component system, the burst compiler, and the C# job system. And that's what we mean when we say our data-oriented. It's tech stack. It's those three features as a whole. So yeah, we're going to have a lot more improvements, more locking down the API as well. So it's a lot in flux right now. We've had a lot of feedback from people using it. And yeah, we'll see a lot more improvements there. We're going to be releasing the megacity as well. So once the ECS system is going to be released, we'll be releasing the megacity demo that you can see here that we showed off at Unity-ANZSEA. Burst compiler release will be coming out in 19.2, so like mid next year. And there's further improvements with the C# job system, so improving physics to 3.4, jobifying this. So we call everything jobifying when we're turning it over to the C# job system. Stuff like a new memory profiler, again, jobified. And again, turning a lot of Unity's existing systems into an ECS-ified version. UI elements, so with all of the new stuff such as shader graph, the visual effect graph, we're going to bring in a node-based system out for audio as well. This has been down to our new kind of UI backend interface, and this is called UI elements. So anybody that's creating editor extensions will be using this. So it's a kind of CSS style approach, so you can have your designers working on editor extensions as well. It's not just a programmer tool now, it's not just all via code. You can get your designers and artists to mock up designs for the editor extensions for your tool creation. Like I mentioned, new input system coming in 19.1. So we can see here that I'm creating action maps, and then actions for these action maps, and then properties as part of these actions. So right now, I've got an action map which is movement, and part of my movement I want to walk, I want to run, I want to look. And then we can say, part of my look, I want to look for the axis. And then we can see interactions and processes there. Whereas if I want to change from a new action map, I can change from movement to, say, riding on a horse or driving a car. So then in the API, I would say I want movement action map. I want, say, walk. So movement.walk.keyboard W. That's what like the API would look like. Whereas if you want action map equals riding horse dot trot dot backwards. Can horses run back? I don't know if horses can trot backwards, but you know. Then you can bind those keys in this context to that specific action map and action. So yeah, you'll see that in 19.1. Okay, this is supposed to be a lot more extensible, a lot better than the current solution we've had for a long time. And it's taken us a long time to do this, but we really want to get it right. Asset bundles have been a huge pain for a long time. So understanding actually what is in an asset bundle, how big the asset bundle is, like if it's been loaded or unloaded, and am I duplicating assets in all of these different asset bundles? Well, now with the addressable assets system, we have this actual window to understand what's made up in the asset bundle, what's holding it, if it's been duplicated, how big it is, if it's been loaded, if it's been unloaded, and lots of different kind of just easier workflow to use it. So that's all the updates for programmers so far. So animators. Again, we want to make Unity accessible to all. For a long time, it was just for programmers, and if an artist or an animator wanted something to put into the engine, they would make it in the DCC tool, like in Max or Maya. They would give the file to the programmer, and they'd be like, oh, put that in. I don't want to touch Unity because it's a programmer tool. We've been working hard at that to make it more accessible for people. So yeah, bring new tools for authoring. We've been doing that for 2017, a lot with the timeline sequencer, stuff like Cinemachine, and we're just generally optimizing for for animation. New features such as Kinematica, which we showed at Unite Europe, which is a procedural animation system that understands where the player is in the world, how they're approaching certain obstacles, if they can interact with this. So this is not basically any triggers set up, it's basically understanding the velocity that's running towards a wall, if it's running directly at it or at a side, and then plays a different animation based on that. And also making it so that the animation system is jobified, so it can run multiple animations at the same time. Russ showed this earlier on, but 2D animation. So you can actually author animation, 2D animation in Unity, either at runtime or in the editor. So again, you'd pull in a sprite with different limbs, and you can put all of that through the animation system with bones and rigging and IK. Lots of general just UX improvements to timeline. So stuff like root offset support, which is a big issue. Every time you pull in a new animation, it sets its root to the beginning again. Events and markers and audio improvements, so you can sample audio in the timeline as well. Stuff for modifying tracks and merging tracks, and more customization, a lot more easier to use. For video, lots of improvements there, asynchronous loading, better resampling, lots of just fixes for the script to render pipelines as well. Again, we want to support that. Audio, I don't know much about it, so there's some notes. But again, so we want to push into film, TV, how people can use Unity for live broadcast. So supporting available frame rates for encoders, gen locking, stuff like live streaming as well, so we can push esports, Unity-made games, Unity-made projects into esports, again, using kind of like industry trends. And artists and designers, so how you can bring your artistic future to life in Unity, not just giving the assets to the program and saying, put that in. So the start of that was with SRP. So SRP Core, the framework itself, will be released in 2019.1. And with the lightweight render pipeline, with these kind of examples, that's going to be released as well at the same time, 2019.1. A lot more documentation to create your own pipeline, to create your own effects, to inject your own passes into the pipeline itself. 2019.3 time, by the end of the year, that's when we'll be hopefully bringing HDRP out of preview and fully releasing it. This is taking a lot longer just because the sheer complexity of HDRP and the effects that we want in there. But with 2018.3, we're adding a lot more stuff in, such as like planar reflection, which is called decal improvements, screen space reflections, and all of these, again, once they're in there, it's easy to start, to use, to manipulate, because, again, we're focusing on artists and designers and people who don't want to code all of this extra stuff. You can just bring it in and apply it. As we carry on into 2019 with HDRP, stuff that our team in Paris, our graphics team, have been working on kind of separately, or they've been releasing demos over time, but getting those shaders, those effects, actually into the pipeline. So the hair shader, for example, really, really amazing. Or a new reflection system, or improving the VFX graph support. So that's going to come out in preview very soon as a package, the VFX graph that I showed this morning. HD post-processing, so V3 of post-processing, specifically for HDRP. And VR support for HDRP for high-end VR. More improvements to shader graph, so making sure we have a HD lit master node coming out, well, it's in beta right now. Leaving preview as a whole in 2019.1, and just making sure that the node API is very set. There's been some changes recently. But yeah, making sure that it's fully workable, fully releasable, rather than just being in preview. More customizable lighting, so how you actually want your lighting to fall off. So you can see here the differences that you can do. So how I want my lighting to fall off, is it more legacy or linear? Or do I want it to be more of like a very inverse, like squared fall off at the very end? Improving packing of the progressive light mapper. So giving you, again, more control. That's what it's all about, is giving you more control rather than having to script all of this yourself or create tools so that you can control how you want to pack this light map. And then GPU accelerated progressive light mapper coming, again, out of preview. A lot of the stuff this year has been in preview because it's been huge fundamental changes. So we've been getting that feedback off the development community to understand how you actually want to use it in the future. Improving support for digital content creation tools, Max, Maya, and like we spoke about today, we've announced big partnerships with Autodesk and how we're going to bring in and import assets and do full workarounds, so you can take assets from Unity back into Max or Maya or Autodesk products as a full round-tripping solution. So 2018.3 is going to have like physical cameras and properties and the full Stingray physical-based shaders in SRP, and lots more goodness coming there as well. So yeah, more help to artists and designers with round tripping. TextMesh Pro is an asset that we purchased and brought into the talent into Unity earlier on in the year, along with stuff like Cinemachine. And this is basically just going through a rewrite, making it more usable in the editor, and looking like a proper Unity in-house feature rather than looking like an external package. Post-processing, again, like I spoke about with HDRP, specific HDRP post-processing effects with V3. I don't want to dig too deep into this because I said I want more people at my talk at 3:15 later today. Come check out the visual effect graph talk. So it's going to be in preview package very soon, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. A big one, visual scripting. So this has been one of the biggest asks from our community for a long time, for artists, designers, people who don't want to program, or even programmers that just want to hook things up really quickly. Visual scripting will be going to be released in 2019.2 as a preview. Improving prefab workflows. So under this new prefab solution is nested prefabs, which we've all been waiting for a very, very long time. Prefab mode, which is an isolated prefab mode window, as you can see here. And prefab variants, how we handle all different variants of one prefab. So for example, these plants, or say if we've got some barrels on a ship, or if we want lots of foliage, but very different variants of it. We can now handle hundreds of different variants of one prefab. And this will also help us create bigger games, bigger worlds, along with our scene management system. So we can now have 20 scenes all loaded at once with artists and designers and audio engineers and programmers all working in those scenes that are loaded at the same time, but working on their specific areas. And nested prefabs allowed that as well. Some terrain updates. This is a feature that's not been upgraded for a long time. So it's general improved editor UX, and optimization as well. And then we're taking that more into next year. So right now it's just fixing the things that we've had a lot of feedback over time, and then next year is going into more features. Improving the API as well, so it's easy to access. And what we're also doing is taking a lot of the stuff that was previously on the CPU to the GPU. So more than half of that previously was on the CPU. Now it means when it's on the GPU, we can render it faster, less bottleneck on the CPU, so we can use it for other things in our game, especially for mobile devices, right? And yes, some more terrain updates as we go along. 2D updates, 2018.3, we're releasing isometric tile maps and hex tile maps, I'm sure as Russ spoke about earlier on. 2D lights and shadows are coming in later on, early next year. So again, this is a big one for me. I love making 2D games, and having to change all of my lighting or all of my collisions, especially like particles and stuff like that, into 3D, between 2D and 3D has always been a big pain. Having all of this now in 2D with shadows is going to be great. And this is kind of how it would look. So there's some assets from the Kenny pack and how these objects are having light and shadow. Lots more improvements to Cinemachine. This team is probably the quickest team at getting new features out the door in Unity. Again, this was an asset store package previously. So stuff like physical cameras, events, more interaction, more implementation into timeline, lens packs. So you could basically get all of the different lenses that are common in the physical world and bring them into Cinemachine. So we can see here this kind of like burst system. So we can put a game object in the world, understand the distance it is from the camera, and depending how close it is, then we have different camera shake frequencies. New post-processing integration that will be releasing with HDRP as well. Part of the Pro Builder team, so we're improving Pro Builder and Polybrush. So Polybrush is going to be, well, now in Package Manager is 1.0. So this is a mesh sculpting tool, game object placement, and general coloring in terrain. So this is part of that same team that made Pro Builder. Improving general world building, so we can turn off different game objects, again, via this new hierarchy view showing the nested prefabs as well. And improving Pro Builder as a world building tool, making it better UX, more context menus, very similar to what we would have in Max or Maya. So just improving that prototyping workflow when you're building out your worlds. So, very quick summary. Our mission, well, all different missions for all different areas in Unity, is building a flexible modern editor and feature set. Trying to, hopefully, keeping every single person happy and productive in Unity. Maintaining quality. And again, closing that feedback loop with you to understand how you're using Unity. There's no point us just putting out feature after feature after feature if we don't understand how everybody here is actually using those features so that we can make them better. Filling in gaps, so we have a lot of gaps in development or in features, but again, understanding how our community, what they want and how they're going to use those tools. Evolving legacy systems like the input system, like terrain system, like the import system, like everything like that. We want to improve those legacy systems and take it into the future. And then pushing opportunities in production and development into all sorts of areas. Like, yes, we're a game engine, but how can all of these features be usable in automotive and film and engineering and architecture and VR and AR? So with that, I thank you so much for listening to me today. I'm going to be around for the rest of the day. I hope you have a great one. Thank you so much.